Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Battle Red Radio, your go-to source for all things sports. I'm your host, Caden Jones. I'm here with Kobe Riendo. We've got an exciting show covering everything from the latest sports news. Don't forget to follow UHDI Radio on Instagram at UHDI Radio. And if you want to interact with us on Radio FX app, use the chat button. Wow, man, that was a hard one. I don't know why I struggled right there.
I can tell you because you're so excited for this show. You're just flying through it, trying to get into what we get into. And honestly, I respect it because we got a good show here today.
Well, I'm not too excited to, report this first topic.
This is it's a heartbreaker right here.
It's a heartbreaking one. It's a depressing one.
Especially as a couple of UH sister school, one grad and one student. This is it's a tough one here.
Yeah, two alumni, right? I can call myself an alumni if I haven't graduated, right?
No.
No? Okay. Soon to be.
Yeah.
Soon to be. Hopefully very soon. So as you all know, you're listening to us on UHDI Radio, and we all reside in the city of Houston. Clearly.
This hurts.
This hurts a lot. And yesterday, actually, this is very recent news, which is fun for us to report on usually. Not today, because the heartbreak is still very recent. The University of Houston Cougars fell short of the national championship last night to the Florida Gators, 65-63. In a thrilling 2025 NCAA men's basketball championship, the Florida Gators defeated the Cougars, securing their third national title and their first in 18 years after a dramatic comeback from a double-digit deficit in the final minutes.
Yeah, first national title for the Florida Gators since their 07-08 back-to-back runs, and those teams were stacked. They had a bunch of NBA players, even a couple of, I'm pretty sure, NFL players on those rosters. But, it's shout out to Florida, shout out to Walter Clayton Jr. He didn't even play that great offensively, but he did enough when he needed to, and we didn't. Just really unfortunate. Really, really stinks.
Yeah, so, some highlights from this game. The Gators trailed for most of it, but like I said, they came back and got the lead with 46 seconds left. Elijah Martin knocked down two of the free throws to give Florida their first lead since the early minutes of the first half. And then backup guard Denzel Aberdeen split a pair 30 seconds later to extend the lead to two, which I thought he was going to miss both those free throws. He looked like the moment was getting heavy for him, if I'm being honest. So I was pretty excited when he missed that first free throw, but ended up making the second. And then Florida obviously secured the win with a defensive stop. Two defensive stops, really, on Emmanuel Sharp. The first defensive stop I came with 40 seconds left in the game. Could have easily taken back the lead. Not easily, but could have taken back the lead. He lost the ball on a poke out, and it went out of bounds. Florida got possession, and then we got the ball back. And then what happened from there?
Honestly, in my opinion, Emmanuel Sharp had a pretty solid play drawn up for him.
He did. We'll talk about this right now, I guess. The last play of the game, so we had two possessions to really take the lead. Like I said, Emmanuel Sharp got the ball poked, and then it went out of bounds. So turnover on Emmanuel Sharp. And then the last play of the game, we kind of drew it up for Emmanuel Sharp to take a three. And Emmanuel Sharp is our best three-point shooter.
And watching this game, I really got a Dylan Brooks vibe. This is just kind of how he is. He plays really good defense, and then he'll take some threes where you're just like, what are you even, what's the thought process with this shot? And then it's nowhere close to going in and whatever. And then he takes the same three 5 possessions later and it goes in, nothing but net. And it's okay, that's the thought process. Maybe we just need to work on the shot selection. So Dylan Brooks is that kind of shooter to me. He, has the talent to be a good shooter, but he just takes some ridiculous shots where it's what are we doing,
Yeah. It's just unfortunate because that's not the guy I would have drawn up the last play of the game for. That is not the closer. We have a clear closer, I thought.
Especially LJ Cryer.
Yes.
Especially, right? On the night he's having 26 points, 6 3-pointers, that's the moment where you draw it up for LJ Cryer. But on another, line of thought, if you don't want to draw it up, or you want to draw up a play where LJ is the first option, which I think he was, but they were throwing a lot of guys at LJ, so with Sharp being the second option, that's a very solid second option, and the shot he had was solid, but Walter Clayton, in my opinion, made a phenomenal defensive play. That's really what won them. The reason I brought him up whenever I said shout out Walter Clayton, because he was not great offensively, but he was doing those kind of hustle plays defensively, in the really big moments, especially at the end of the game that everybody saw, that really won Florida the game, to be honest.
Yeah. So, like you said, LJ Cryer was the first option on that final play, and then Emmanuel Sharp was the second option. It seems like he was able to, like, he could have got that shot up. Went up for a shot, didn't shoot it, ended up, dribbling it to the ground. You can't retain possession after jumping because that'll be a double dribble travel. And so we didn't even get a shot off in our final possession of the game. No chance to even win the game. I would have liked to see us get at least a shot off to make an effort to win the game right there. It didn't happen. We didn't and when Emmanuel Sharp got the ball, I think there was like 12 seconds left. He could have ran to the rim. Something could have happened. He did not need to chuck up a shot right there.
I also like the potential of just taking a 2. Like, we did not need to force a 3. We could have just taken it to overtime and letting our dogs really go out, because I feel like as the game would have drawn on, it would have just more and more played in our favor. Like, that's just how Kelvin coaches. That's the kind of culture he's built. So I think drawing it to overtime probably would have benefited us more than benefited them.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I don't know, though. I don't know if I agree with you there, because in that second half of in the later half of the second half, it was bad. We were playing very, very loose. Like, we were not playing as a unit. It felt like there was a lot of LJ Cryer. There was not a lot of team ball going on. Defense was starting to let up a little bit. Like, I remember watching it, and I was like, how is this guy getting open looks? Like Comden, right? They're Florida big. He was getting good looks all game, right? Like, he was playing his ball. In that second half, in the last part of the second half, he was really just dominating Tugler and
Roberts.
No, not Roberts. What's his name? Francis?
Yeah, Francis.
Francis, even though they were both in foul trouble, so I guess they were playing a little bit more lenient.
That's definitely why. That, like, once you get those type of guys in foul trouble who are really physical, it takes away a big aspect of their game. So, of course, they're going to be a little bit more soft on the inside. I'll say, whenever I really felt the game was going to turn around, because I was talking with my stepdad about the game, and I was very confident, giving him a rundown. We were up by 10, or around 12, I think, at this point. So we were about to reach our highest
point differential.
Yeah, point differential of the game. And it was early in the second half, like literally 5 minutes had passed, and they had 7 or 6 fouls. We were already at the bonus or at the 1-1. I was like, yo, if this is how it's going to be the whole second half, we're getting these free throws, this is going to be a beautiful coast to a victory. Within the next 2 minutes, we had 5 more fouls, and it was basically, we're in the 1-1, they're in the 1-1. Neither team can be physical for the rest of the game. Automatically drew us. Like, that to me is when I had a feeling that this game was not going to go Houston's way. Whenever we had 5 fouls to give, basically, and gave them all up in 2 minutes.
Yeah. It's they also had 12 turnovers in the first half. Right? That's ridiculous stuff right there, because I think we turned off the ball 4 times in the first half compared to their 12. Lights out defense. Absolutely. Like, if you were watching the game, Florida couldn't get anything going. Walter Clayton couldn't get anything going, which is surprising, because a lot of people look at him as one of the better scorers, if not the best scorer in all of college basketball.
He had 30 plus in the Elite Eight and the Final Four.
Yeah. So, yeah, arguably the best.
And whenever you really look at it, this man, Will Richard, is going to go down as a Florida Gator legend. Yeah. They should build the statue tomorrow, because they had 28 first half points. He was responsible for 14 of them. Without him, they might genuinely have scored less than 20.
It might have been a 20-point deficit at half.
Yeah,
it really could have.
Without Will Richard, this Florida Gators team is not champions right now, and we're not upset talking about this game.
Yeah.
Will Richard was really the biggest X factor. Shout out to LJ Cryer. He was amazing. He should get all of his flowers and all of his love, but it's just unfortunate we couldn't win.
Yeah. Some notable things from this game that I thought were interesting, even though, they don't shed the light on Houston too well. Houston led for nearly 31 of the game's 40 minutes. The game was a single-digit game for all but 5 minutes of it. And then ESPN's win probability metric gave Houston a 93.9% chance to win the game with 15 minutes and 48 seconds remaining. So
that's about the time where we were up by 12 and they had 7 fouls and we had 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
I would think it's around this point when we had the highest chance of win, and that's immediately as soon as it declined.
Yeah, and then something you pointed out to me, which is insane, because it was only like there was no more than a 3-point difference within the final 2 minutes of the game. Houston did not attempt a single shot for the last minute and 20 of the game. Whether that's because of the Emmanuel Sharp, turnover, or the other Emmanuel Sharp, lack of effort to really get the ball up.
Or maybe it's because, like, we got to give credit where credit was due.
No,
Florida
obviously.
was dominating they were flying around the defensive end, especially the last 3 minutes of the game. They were looking like us in the first quarter, right?
Yeah.
Or in the first half. So shout out to Florida for that. But I mean, come on, guys, we can't get one even because we were only down by 2. All we needed was a layup. We were trying to force threes. That is not the mentality I would have taken. But that's maybe why I'm not a coach. I don't know.
Yeah, unfortunate stuff. I was hoping to get some reactions from people. I can maybe check that right now. See if anybody gave me any reactions. The consensus that I heard from everybody that I talked to about the game was mostly depression, right? As you would guess. But
I've seen some people saying that, honestly, Kelvin Sampson should take a little bit of blame for this because Florida's head coach, I don't know his name, I'm going to be honest, but he was phenomenal with his second half adjustments and even adjusting in the second half of the second half, like where about the fourth quarter would be, in the NBA. Kelvin Sampson didn't make those same adjustments. We had timeouts, we had TV commercials, and Florida was making adjustments. They had some of the best out-of-timeout plays I've ever seen. Like, it was an automatic bucket every time we were coming out of a timeout, and they were inbounding the ball. But we didn't have that type of automatic bucket out of a timeout like we needed at the end of the game. I bet if Florida has that same possession, they probably have a better, like if they're in the same spot, down 2 with however much time we had left, they probably put up a better shot because of their coach's ability to, honestly, be a creative on the inbounding plays. But Kelvin Sampson doesn't coach like that. He's a very different type of coach, and I love his style. So I'm not going to say Kelvin should,
Did you see Kelvin Sampson's post-game interview?
I did not.
So somebody asked him, I didn't watch the whole thing, I just saw clips, which is probably, a bad thing on my end. But somebody asked him why were there not a lot of assists in this game. I think there was only 5 total assists for the Houston Cougars in this game. And he went on to pretty much say that, after somebody got the ball past to them, they were just not making shots. He called out somebody specifically. Called out, I think it was Jay Wham or Jay Will.
Mm-hmm.
Said that they were not making shots. He's a 6th-year senior.
Yeah.
And he was just saying the guys were just not hitting their shots and seemingly putting the blame on the UH Cougar players, which I don't know if I really agree with. I don't know if that's really a head coach thing for you to do. Understand do that in private, but I don't know about doing that right after a loss in the national championship game.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, obviously. He should not have called out a player like that. Come on, bro. But we were just harping on how great our defense was in the first half. Florida was 1 for 7 for 3. We were 0 for 7.
Yeah.
Our shooting was terrible. The only reason we were in that game is because of our defense, and it's not very shocking to me that once Florida started to make some shots, because they were difficult shots that they were making, that they made the comeback because we couldn't make a thing. We couldn't throw, a water bucket into the ocean if we tried.
Yeah, this game felt a lot like the Purdue game where our offense was also not going. This game, our offense wasn't really going. It was really only going with LJ. And then the bigs down low. Tugler had a good game. Roberts was hitting his shots a little bit.
Francis had a couple slams, man. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah, always. And then, Milos did his thing, too, a little bit, facilitating the offense. He always does a really good job. He's been a really good point guard for us as well. But it's just not as efficient as it was, in the regular season. That's what happens with March Madness. So, yeah, unfortunate stuff. There's always next year we have the best recruiting class coming into college basketball, which that's something to look forward to. And another thing to note, there was not a single 5-star on either of these teams last night.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, there's not a single 5-star recruit on either Florida or Cougars. And so now I think we have 4 coming into this recruiting class. We have the best one in the nation. So, next season looks really bright.
Yeah, I think Duke might have had all the 5 stars in this class.
Could have been. And We know what happened to Duke. We didn't get to talk about it on the show, but we beat Duke.
They're also, like, looking at the NBA draft projections, it's a little bit of ways away, but, looking ahead, it's looking like Duke's going to have 5 to 6 dudes drafted this year.
Yeah. They're all one and dones?
Pretty much. I mean, Cooper Flagg obviously is the Porsche that everybody wants.
Yeah.
He's going to be a first overall pick, but it depends on where these other guys go. Some of them look like they could be mid-round picks. Some of them could be early seconds, but 5, maybe even 6 getting drafted out of that Duke team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm glad you brought up the NBA draft because our next segment is about the NBA. Some crazy stuff went down today, right?
Nobody was expecting this.
I was not expecting it. I thought I got scammed. I'm not going to lie. I really didn't know what happened. It hit my phone. I got his notifications on, and I saw that Shams Charania announced that the Denver Nuggets fired Mike Malone and Calvin Booth, right? Both of them, the Denver Nuggets head coach and GM. Now, the Denver Nuggets not just won the NBA championship, but were NBA champions in 2023. Obviously, they have guys like Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., and so on. Like, they have a really good squad. But they went ahead and fired their GM and their head coach just pretty much days before the playoffs start, right?
They are the 4th seed right now, so they are in the playoffs. They're not even in the play-in.
Yeah.
They are on a little bit of a skid. They've had a 4-game losing streak, I think, or something like that. Mm-hmm. So that's maybe what is causing the ownership to really want to pull the trigger on these guys right now because they don't think they have a really good run at the chip anyway. So let's get it out now. But I feel like this is not a smart move, just to say that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that you said that because they have lost 4 straight games as of yesterday. I think they played today as well. I could be wrong about that. And, in such a tight conference like the West is right now, there's only a few games that separate the 4th and even the 11th or 12th seed at this point. Like, you can easily drop down there in just a few days. And maybe that's what the ownership was worried about. Dropping to the play-in tournament with a guy like Nikola Jokic would look terrible. Jamal Murray also has a lingering hamstring injury. And their defense has not been playing well under Mike Malone. And maybe that's another reason why they ended up firing him. Or it could have been some petty stuff like a possible rift between the head coach Mike Malone and GM Calvin Booth. Now, there are reports going around on Twitter or X, however you refer to it, that both of these guys did not talk to each other. The GM and the head coach did not speak. However, they were not afraid to talk about each other behind their backs. A lot of the times they were talking negatively, and they wanted each other fired, which I think is an insane head coach and GM dynamic.
I was just going to say, could you imagine if, like, Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans, if we had to hear every week? Because, I mean, the surprising thing to me is I haven't heard anything about this.
Yeah, none of this has gotten out.
Maybe it's because, like, I wouldn't be surprised if some Nuggets local guys have heard about it, but could you imagine it just like we just knew that D'Amico and Nick hated each other and wanted each other fired, but they just went along with each other because they had to.
And they're like winning games.
I would be so, first off, confused because that should not work. Like, if you have this, honestly adds to Nikola Jokic's MVP case. Just going to say that. But if you have a coach who's a very good head coach, who's thriving in a system with a GM who hates him and is honestly not a very good GM, why would you fire both of them? That's the thing that's really confusing me a little bit.
So, I mean, some of these reports suggest that Booth may have wanted Mike Malone to be fired because of, to deflect an idea of that, like, the roster was built bad, right? Because the roster they have stars, right? I mean,
they have Jokic. They have the best player in the league.
Jokic, Murray, Gordon, MPJ. It's just
all the guys you just listed are very, very solid NBA players.
Exactly, but what we've talked about it. If the listeners at home have listened to when we talked about the Shea and Jokic episode, when Jokic is not on the court, they are a historically bad team. Probably the worst team in the NBA when Jokic is not playing.
They're easily the worst team in the NBA by like 7 or 8 offensive rating or something like that.
And is that Mike Malone's fault? Question mark. Is that Calvin Booth's fault? I think that's more likely because there was guys like Bruce Brown and KCP that were on that championship team that were extremely providing to that championship run, and even in that finals series where they contributed well. And then Calvin Booth just kind of let them both go. Bruce Brown got paid. KCP got paid well, not an extreme amount like Bruce Brown got paid, but that he failed to replace them with anybody that was serviceable. And then they've kind of just been on this 4, 5, 6 seed kind of ride the past 2 seasons.
So you definitely think it is old Booth's case. Like, you think it's his fault for the Nuggets being where they're at and not Mike Malone's?
I think, yeah, Mike Malone is easily a top 5 head coach in the league.
Yeah.
Calvin Booth,
maybe. At this point, maybe. But he's up there. Top 10 easily.
Top 10 easily. Okay, we can say that. I would meet in the middle, say 7.
For sure. I'll take that.
Calvin Booth, they're almost silent during the offseason. What's the last move that you heard that they've made besides Aaron Gordon?
Yeah, Aaron Gordon is probably the last really big move that they made.
And that was 2 years ago.
Or 3, because I think he was there a year before they won the chip in 2023.
Possibly, but the Denver Nuggets are silent in the offseason. They obviously have too late of a pick, usually since 2023, to even draft anybody of serviceable skill at such a championship level.
And one thing to also just consider is Mike Malone is the Nuggets' winningest coach of all time.
Yes.
So to me, that more indicates that it's not probably his fault.
Yeah.
He also won them their only NBA championship, like we said, in 2023.
Could this have been a Jokic decision?
Oh,
is what I'm thinking, because I saw a clip on Twitter. He was this was only 4 nights ago. Jokic has the beard grown out right now. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have.
He looks very Serbian.
I was gonna say he looks very Eastern European.
Yeah,
I didn't want to specify Serbian, but absolutely.
Very thin beard, right? And he is. I've never seen him scream. He's top of his lungs screaming at his at his teammates on the bench because they're not playing defense, right? Is that because he doesn't believe in Mike Malone to really set these guys straight? I doubt that, because Mike Malone has been on the presser saying that some of the players were full of expletives, you know what I mean? And that they never watch film.
Yeah. That's what a crazy way to call out a player. But honestly, the Nuggets need it, bro. Their defense is so bad. They're so lucky that they have Nikola Jokic, or they would genuinely be like we've said, Caden said earlier, they'd be the worst team of all time, genuinely. By offensive and defensive rating. It's embarrassing how bad they are without Nikola Jokic. And like I kind of mentioned, this really, in my opinion, supports Nikola Jokic's MVP case. Because if he can do all that he was doing with a head coach and a GM who don't like each other at all and want each other to get fired, that's pretty impressive to me.
Yeah. Well, so who do you think? You asked me this question. Who do you think is more at fault here?
Oh, bro, it's absolutely Calvin Booth. It's not even a question. That's what I said. I don't know why they fired Mike Malone. They should just fire Calvin Booth, bring in another GM, and honestly, restart building this roster around Jokic. Because right now they're not in a place to win. You could take a year to win, be around the 9 seed, 10 seed, maybe in the playoffs, maybe not in the playoffs, and just retool the roster, get a better pick than you would if you were a 4 or 5, 3, 2 seed, whatever, and give Jokic another chance to win. Because it would be a shame to see a player of his caliber only get 1 championship.
Yeah.
And really only even 1 chance at a championship.
But, it wouldn't be like a stain on his reputation. He's going to have 4 MVPs. If he wins one this season, he's going to have 4 and a championship.
I just want to say, Jokic has enough skill and enough talent to be up there, arguably, in the GOAT debate. If he only has 1 ring, it's gone. There's no chance.
True.
That's what I'm saying. That would be a shame because, like you just said, 4 MVPs. This dude is the most efficient player of all time. He's averaging a triple-double.
The greatest advanced statistic player of all time. He had I think he had a 60-point double-double or triple-double the other day.
Yes,
the other day.
Yes.
You know the last person to do a 60-point triple-double? It was Nikola Jokic.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then the last person before that was Nikola Jokic again. You know what I mean?
He's definitely. up there for GOAT debate talent-wise. Yeah. So it's just hard to make that argument, though, if he only has one ring. That's really why I was focusing on that.
I mean, so the next question I have is like, where is Mike Malone going to go? I told you this before we started the show, whenever we found out about this. I mean, many people, including myself, would love the idea of Malone becoming the successor of Greg Popovich in San Antonio. I would hate this move as a Rockets guy. I think you are feeling that sentiment right now. Seeing Wembanyama already with Popovich, even though, rest up Pop, he is not there this season, and neither is Wemby. But imagine if Mike Malone has already been with a freak of Nate. I know, but just close your eyes for a second. It's burnt earth, right?
It's nightmares.
Yeah. Mike Malone has already been paired with Nikola Jokic since he's been in the league, right? Nikola Jokic has been tearing the world on fire. Now, move Mike Malone from that big man to the next up-and-coming alien in Wemby. That is a match made in heaven for San Antonio fans. Easily. And I think that if you're San Antonio front office, you're thinking about it. Even if you're Greg Popovich, you're like, wow, I think that is the guy I want to take after me. He might have to get rid of the Denver Nuggets tattoo he has on his shoulder. But he could come in and be my successor.
Look, if we're going full scorched earth, give him Cooper Flag, too. Why not, Like, they're up there for the first overall pick. Give him Cooper Flag. Let him eat. Who cares, right?
Yeah, I mean, and something else, too, is, like, and Wemby's not the only person on that team that, like, we might talk about it at the end of the show if we get to the NBA awards, but they might also have the Rookie of the Year. It's Stephon Castle.
Yeah.
So that team is going to be dirty, and it's crazy. I mean, at first it was OKC. Now this year it's us, and
next year
in 2 years or next year it could be the Spurs. Yeah,
man, this is gonna be a hard conference. Genuinely, I think this is something they should consider. If Cooper Flag goes to the West, there needs to be some consideration of either conference realignment or just removing the conference for the playoffs, because the West is. If that happens.
You think Cooper Flag would be the person that would decide that?
Bro, because we already have literally every very, very competitive team is in the West. And then in the East, it's the Cavs, the Celtics, maybe the Bucks. That's it. There's 11 or 12 teams in the West. That's what I'm saying. It's just not – whoever is coming out of the West is just going to face a lot tougher competition, a lot better honestly, probably going to be a better team as well. Let's just face it.
I kind of want to see what the NBA playoff seeding is right now, because I'm trying to think of what the other teams that are in the East are.
I mean, I could tell you right now, the top seeds, Cavs are the 1 seed, Celtics are the 2 seed, Knicks are the 3 seed, Pacers are the 4 seed, Bucks are the 5 seed, Pistons are the 6 seed. The Pistons are the 6 seed.
I forgot the Pistons tripled their win total from last season.
The Pistons are going to be solid in the coming years, but if they were in the West right now, 43-36, they would be the 9 seed.
Oh wow! And then the 5th seed.
Yes.
Interesting stuff right there. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be in. And we've played the 1 seed OKC Thunder 5 times this season.
And played them pretty well.
Every time. We smoked them last week.
Yes. There's been some games we've lost, obviously, but every time we play them well. Like, we are a very good, in my opinion, matchup against the Thunder.
Yeah.
Honestly, a lot of that comes down to, one, Jalen Green is he's a pretty dominant
really?
ISO player. I don't not like him, bro. I said that
this is rare Kobe loving JG moment.
He's a pretty good ISO player. He's also improved his playmaking this season, undoubtedly, right?
Yeah.
But
we're going to talk more about that on Thursday's show when we have our debate show.
For sure. But really, Şengün is, I think, the X factor, because he is sneakily strong against dudes like Chet and Hartenstein,
mm-hmm.
and both of them are really good defensive players, but he just has enough touch and enough power and enough technique around the goal that it's just, he makes them look like children.
Yeah, I was watching a video that was showing that what really sets us over the edge when we play OKC is our Şengün and then Steven Adams lineup. And then also if you put Amin in there, then Fred, and then you can really swap out if you want Dylan Brooks or JG. It depends on the scoring that you need. That is the lineup to really beat the OKC Thunder. Because, I mean, Chet is good, but Alpi can back him down. We've all seen it.
Yeah,
Alpi can back down some of the biggest in the league.
I was just going to say that Thunder lineup, always, whoever they have in, they're going to have a lot of length, But that Şengün and Steven Adams lineup has so much strength that they just aren't big enough to really match them down there. It doesn't matter how tall and long they are. They aren't just physically big enough to match up with Steven Adams and Şengün.
And it doesn't, that lineup also doesn't really hurt us that much offensively because, regularly as a team, even if we put all of our best shooters on the field, we still don't have that much spacing. So that's kind of just how we play.
Yeah, and Steven Adams is the best screen setter in the league still.
He's I don't know if you've ever seen this, he's an early box out guy. Before the shot's even up, he's boxing out the dude. Whether they want to hit the rim or, get an easy shot. He's already in front of that guy.
Look, Steven Adams is one of those players, also like Patrick Beverley to me. You love to have him on your team, but you hate to play against guys like Steven Adams and Patrick Beverley.
Yeah, it's not going to show up on the box score. I love the Rockets this year, man. I really do. I want to talk more about them.
52-27 after being 41-41 last year, and then before that being one of, if not the worst team in the league. That is impressive, no matter how you split it. Shout out to Ime Udoka, and shout out to the woman he cheated with to get him fired from the Celtics. I just got to say it. I got to say it.
All right, and with that being said, we have a very exciting next 30 minutes of the show, but we're going to hit that when we get back from the music break. If you love golf and you're excited for the Masters this weekend, stay tuned. We will be back in 5 minutes.